Shemai. My name is Nick and this is Wales in the Movies. I remember the first seed of thought which became this little channel. Ironically, it was in New South Wales in Australia in the year 2000. A local policeman opens up my passport and asks me if I'm English, Scottish or Irish. When I responded in what became my character, he followed up with something I'll never ever forget. He said, England, Scotland and Ireland are countries. You've seen Braveheart, right?
I am the Princess of Wales.
Thing is, if this fella was a movie fan, which I'm guessing he was from the reference, he would have seen our country on screen, but crucially disguised as the Arabian Peninsula, Yugoslavia maybe, Azerbaijan, China, Pennsylvania or wherever this is supposed to be. Then it got me thinking, are there any films about Wales? And here I am today. A man called David Berry, in his magnum opus Wales and Cinema, asks, what is a Welsh film? Is it one made in Wales or one which, though originating outside, captures the spirit of its people? I then went to university and I asked this question, but I met students and academics alike who kind of looked at me nervously and didn't distinguish between Welsh location and Welsh setting. It seems they're not alone. Type in Welsh films into Google and, well, this is what you get. So, there are many films made in Wales, some pretty huge ones, but among all the stories, all the genres, one truth may explain why we're so easy to ignore. Since my personality-shaping conversation in 2000, Wales continued to play exciting places, both real and fictional in major productions, but Wales is always pretending to be somewhere else, even if that somewhere is nowhere. Since the millennium, we've doubled for China, North Korea, just about every interpretation possible of Camelot, ancient Greece, Congo, and the Swiss Alps. We make no secret of this. We're proud to be at the service of everyone else.
As the location manager working in Wales or working from outside Wales but bringing companies into Wales from anywhere in the world, one of the things I notice they most ask me is, where else can we make it look like? And it's the diversity of places that you can get from Wales that make it so special. I've used it as China, Korea, Hong Kong, central London. It can be anywhere that you want it to be.
Despite the size of Wales used as pejorative, there's more movies and TV shows made here than the rest of the UK combined. Either way, we more than punch above our weight, and let's be clear, it's a good thing. It provides careers in creative industries. It must be good for local economies, and off-screen at least, it raises some awareness as to the existence of Wales and its culture. But what does it mean when all these images and stories ignore the existence of the country itself? What does it mean when, on screen, the uniqueness of our place is constantly used in the service of the countries next door that, incidentally, don't really need the advertising, but never itself, never to show off itself?
Hail, King of Scotland!
Should there be a better balance between Wales as location and Wales as setting? Would that make us harder to ignore? Because the most frequent spots we double as are dear old England and Scotland. Through magic of movies, boats can invade England but arrive a second later at southwest Wales. Evoke something medieval? Go to a Welsh castle.
Every Englishman's home is his castle.
You need a villain's lair? A northern slate quarry. When Wembley Stadium's not available, cut inside the Millennium Stadium as surrogate. The Welsh won't object, and we won't expect representation. Our capital city's most stately building is so anonymous worldwide, it can double as a generic London suburb, and nobody outside Wales will notice. Not even Wesley Snipes. If you want to go real meta, we even produced a movie here, funded by the Welsh Government, about the national importance of propaganda and cinematic storytelling.
We need a story to inspire a nation.
I will bring you a picture to win the war.
And yes, it's set in England. Even when the action is set in a location undisclosed, evidence of Wales is still actively removed from the screen. This is why you never see or hear any trace of the Welsh language when you're watching Sex Education.
I got police station. Well, I got police because we were staying by a police station, which is Headloo.
Yeah.
Don't you say hello?
Oh, bore da siamai.
And then we got told how to say sex education.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I've forgotten it already.
In other cases, such as this, one of the most important movies in the history of horror, the action is definitely set in Wales, but that's never mentioned or shown. What an odd decision to set a movie in a place with a mythology and lore such as this, but never mention it.
Talbot Castle, Mr. Larry.
When these omissions happen, and they do frequently, Wales loses the chance to build a film legacy. There's no signposts for the storytellers of tomorrow to follow, no breadcrumbs to bring our stars home. So when The Wolfman gets remade 70 years later, despite the presence of this guy,
you've done terrible things.
The filmmakers don't hesitate to give it a more recognisable setting.
I know you're out there.
There are some brief exceptions to this tiring rule Britannia. Ironically, the most famous film ever set in Wales is the only one to invert the trend. The onset of the World War meant this film location was changed from Wales to the Malibu Hills, and it had to go black and white to hide the fact. Maybe the legacy of How Green Was My Valley is the confusion in Hollywood about whose accents the Welsh should sound like more. Because it's definitely not the Welsh.
Have you ever been down to Colliery's?
10 years.
Dear, as lovely you are.
Cymru.
Objection sustained.
The only time a modern Hollywood IP is set in Wales, Brad Pitt crashes in Blaenau Ffestiniog on his way from Jerusalem to Cardiff. Fair enough. But then he's met in a Welsh laboratory by people from, you got it, England and Scotland.
One of the many things a virus or bacteria needs to thrive is a live host.
To top it off, every single setting in World War Z gets an accompanying title card to clarify in which country the sequence is taking place. Apart from one. Guess which one? What's the result of all this obfuscation and accommodation? What's the cost of our silence? And does it really matter that Cymru is invisible worldwide? Some people say this here is a typo. I don't think so. Here's the end credits of Clash of the Titans. Is this a typo? Or Mortal Kombat a few years earlier? Is this just a slip of the tongue from Tom Cruise?
First I saw Drew Gray in A Picture Ever After with Drew Barrymore, where he plays romantic Prince Charming, and then I saw him in the Scottish film Twin Town. You see the range of this.
Can we really blame these people? Because whenever I see Scottish mountains or characters on screen, there's never any problem just saying, it's Scotland. Hollywood can't get enough of these places, but in the USA and Britain, Wales is just a blank canvas. Empty slate on which others project and claim their own stories and identities. This phenomenon covers just about every genre of film, but is most present in fantasy and history. Every year sees more films and TV shows showing off English, Irish and Scottish historical characters and themes. Often, they will contain a vital element of Wales in their story or setting that's maybe ambiguous or ignored. Sometimes it's hinted at. But Wales, which bore the Arthurian legend, thus the whole European romantic tradition, is only ever used as location. In more than 10 King Arthur movies for a start. Movies like this.
You are addressing England.
These. And this.
You could defend me all over the world, in France, in England, Mongolia, Scotland.
Of England.
And this type of
Raising
thing.
an army and getting ready to sail for England. Welcome to Britain.
One could get paranoid, and sometimes it's hard to escape the feeling that Wales is being trolled.
Hello.
And all the while, massive movie and TV productions, big and small, take our landscape, mythology and history for their own ends without ever giving us a nod. Wales in the movies, simultaneously ubiquitous and invisible.
Golden city, devoted to peace and charity.
So, what is a Welsh film? Is it one made in Wales or one that captures the spirit of its people? I can give you a new criteria which intersects both movies set in and about Wales. Genuine Welsh films exist, some good ones, but have you or your friends seen them? Do they have any market appeal? Do they inspire your kids? Movies and storytelling should mean more than careers for the middle classes and debating points for art house patrons and intellectuals. They're there to make us dream, wonder, take us to faraway places and magical times, imaginary and real. In some cases, they can act as a record or start an inquiry into those times and those places. It's not like the backstory of Cymru is lacking dramatic potential. It's a territory defined by its crises, just as dramatic as you can put on a screen, of rulers, rebels, resistance, of magic and mayhem, heroism and betrayal, ancient curses, mythical beasts, druid bards, insurrections of the working class, legends of women and men larger than life and hard as nails. That crucial matter which is the currency of storytellers worldwide. Conflict. And it's time these contradictions were explored, exposed and honoured in a global field of vision, just like our neighbours. It's time we got more from all these resources. It's time for Wales to stop being just a medium and become the story. It's time for Wales to play itself.
That